let's get going on example 2. So again, before we get started, keep forgetting to cover up this. First of all, before we get started, we need to know what form we're starting with, so then we know the other two forms we need to convert our equation to. Okay, so out of our 3 forms, so we're going to go back to the top. What does this one look the most like? Which I know it's kind of hard to see. So take in example 2, which is down here. Ignore all this from example 1. Okay, which form does this one appear to look like? Which form? You guys are too cool for school. It would be factored form. Okay, we have a parenthesis times a parenthesis, which means we have more than one value being multiplied together, which means we have factors. So this is factored form. So we're starting with factored form this time. So factored form, which means we need to convert to standard form and vertex form. Now, factored form, you do have to go in a certain order when you start converting, okay? You cannot get to vertex form from factored form. It is impossible. Okay, so from this form, the only way we can get to vertex form is by starting in standard form. Okay, so I'm going to have to get to standard form first. Then after I get to standard form, it's going to be very much like this problem, because this problem we started from standard form and had to convert to vertex form. So it will flow very similar to this problem after we get this thing converted to standard form. Okay, well, let's get going, you guys. So in example 2, let's get started. So I'm going to rewrite factored form under standard form real quickly. So you have x plus 1 times x minus 3. All right, now, do you guys remember, how do you get something like this to look like standard form? So ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, well, do you remember how you solve when you have a parenthesis beside a parenthesis? You do have to distribute. So all we have to do to get to standard form is just do some distributing, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I'm going to start with the x term and multiply this thing to both of these values. Okay, so we're going to have y equals x times x. Well, remember, when you multiply 2 variables together, you add the exponents. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So we're going to have y equals x squared, 1x squared, or just x squared, however you want to write it. And then x times negative 3, well, they're not like terms, so you just kind of slide them side by side. So minus 3x. Okay, and then I'm going to combine the 1 with these 2 terms. So I'm going to be distributing the 1 to each of these bad boys right here. So 1 times x is a positive x, which I'm going to write a 1x to help us when we combine like terms. And 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. All right, the last step, we just got to combine our like terms, and then we'll be done so. All right, well, I don't have anything to combine with my x squared, so don't forget we always start with the highest exponent to get this thing in standard form. Okay, so my highest exponent is x squared, which I don't have anything to combine the x squared to, so I'm just going to bring it on down. My next highest exponent is x to the first, which I spot 2 terms with x to the first. I spot negative 3x and 1x. Okay, which don't forget, you guys, when you add like terms, don't touch the variable's exponents. Leave it alone. Okay, you just add the coefficients, or the numbers in front of the variables. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And then I'm just going to bring on down the x. Okay, and then my final value, the number without any other like terms to add to, the number without the x, is going to be the negative 3. So I'm going to bring that on down. Okay, you guys, so standard form is y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. And that's all you got to do to get from factored form into standard form. Not so bad. Okay, so now to get from factored form to vertex form, remember, we have to be in standard form. So we're going to start from standard form and convert to vertex form, kind of like what we just did at the top. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up vertex form. Okay, which I'm going to try to do it a little differently so I don't have to squeeze it into the side. So remember, all we need for vertex form is the A, the H, and the K. So after we know those three values, we're done. Okay? So looking at standard form, I'm going to rewrite it real quickly. So you have y equals, wrong color, Miss Long. Jeez. All right, so we have y equals x squared. Okay, I don't see a number in front of the x squared, which means there's secretly a 1 in the front. Okay, and then we have minus 2x, so minus 2x. And then we have minus 3 on the end. Okay, so my a value is going to be the same. So my a value is 1. Now remember, you can write a 1 or you don't have to. It's kind of up to you. Okay, since I wrote in a, I might as well just write in the 1. So my a is going to be the 1, so I'm going to write it there. And now all I have to do is find the h and k. So how do we find the h value from standard form? Well, like before, the way we find our h value is by doing the axis of symmetry equation, because that value is the same as the h value in your vertex form. Okay, so we're going to find the axis of symmetry. So this is solve for the h value. Alright, so we're going to have x equals the opposite of b over 2a. Let's see here, 2a. Alright, so let's solve for our axis of symmetry. So we have x equals the opposite of b. Well, b is the number in front of the x, so it's -2. And the opposite of -2 is +2 over 2, over 2 times my a, which is a 1. Alright, there we go. Alright, well, let's simplify this thing on down. Let me just double check everything. Yeah. Alright, so this will be 2 over 2 times 1, which is 2, and 2 over 2 is 1. Okay, so my x value, which is technically my h value, is a 1. Alright, so my h value is a 1. Okay, and don't forget, when we write this in our vertex form equation, we're going to flip the sign. So since I have a positive 1 here in my equation, I'm going to write it as a -1. Okay, and then lastly, how do we find the k value when we're in standard form? Well, since I found the h value, which is the x in my equation, if I substitute 1 in for x, I'll know the y value, which is going to be my k value. Alright, so let's find y, which will be our k. Okay, so y equals 1 times x squared. This time I'm not going to write the 1 because it's really not going to do anything. So I see an x, so that x is going to transform into this 1. So we're going to have 1 squared. And then we're going to have minus 2 times, I see another x, which means that x will transform into the 1. So times 1. And then minus 3. Alright, let's solve it. 1 squared, 1 times 1 is 1. -2 times 1 is -2. And I'm going to bring on over my 3. Alright, 1 minus 2 is -1. And -1 minus 3 more is -4. Let me just double check. -1, yep. 1, -2, -3. Yeah. Looks good. So y is going to be -4, which is going to be our k value in our vertex form. Yay! So our k value is -4. So I'm just going to write that on the end. Don't forget your k value. You don't flip the sign. You just write it as it is. So guess what, you guys? Our vertex form of the quadratic equation is, you can either write 1 out in front or you don't need it. It's up to you. Okay, so you could say 1 times x minus 1 squared minus 4, or you could say y equals x minus 1 squared minus 4. So you can either have the 1 or eliminate it. It's up to you. Alright, well that's it, you guys. I'm already sad now because now we only have one more of these problems, and these are just so much fun, but it'll be okay. I'll have fun, and then when it ends I'll be a little sad, but I'll get over it. Nice job, you guys.